horse is a versatile breed that shows grace, beauty, and strength in all that it does. We sat down with Heather Downing, whose Arabian horse is the epitome of a versatile equine. He does everything from showing in hand and under saddle, and even does mounted archery.
My name is Heather Downing. I'm from Kansas City. My very first lesson, I fell off and face first. It was hilarious. Got right back on. So I've basically been on a horse that goes fast since I guess I started riding, which is later than a lot of these people. And we did some gymkhana a little bit, and I did some 4-H. I got to pass my test. And then I had about a decade where I could afford to mess around with them any until I changed careers and was financially able to start supporting a horse show habit. A friend of mine that I had met in Kansas City while we were driving carriage horses had an Arab, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a Bayshaw grandson, you should come out and see him." And I did, and we did costume for the first year, and it was all local level. But I fell in love with it again, and somebody I had been friends with for a very long time, turns out that person was Jennifer Wilson, and Jennifer Wilson owns Zenith Farms. She had this horse, which was Maglorix Z. Kind of got the opportunity of a lifetime when he was 3 to own him. As a 3-year-old, he got started under saddle to be a hunter. After a little while, it looked like he needed a little bit more time to grow up, and so we switched over to doing halter. And I did that with Pat McGinnis. Kind of was this amazing turnaround. He trained him in like 2 or 3 months, and we went out and swept our Mocan Border Bonanza. But he gets bored easy. So once my trainer left to move to Scottsdale, I didn't have anybody there in Kansas City that I trusted with him. So my journey began going back to saddle work. And so we kind of restarted. In the meantime, I had watched an episode of Mythbusters about the speed of an arrow in flight when you're moving versus if you're standing still and shooting it. Will it go faster? Like if you're going really quickly and you shoot, does that help the velocity? Of course, that myth was busted, but the way that they tested it is they went to a kind of a farm out in Washington State, and there was a girl who had done mounted archery out there, very like the old Mongol style, and she rode an Arab. I started studying it, and I discovered that the closest instructor to me is down in San Antonio, Texas. So I went down there and I had a private session. Usually the way you set up your course is that you have like a ramp up area that's kind of curved, then you have a straightaway, and you have another area that's curved. It kind of helps the horse, collect up and then be able to go, and then it helps slow them down when you are putting your bow back. There's all these divisions, right? There's all these different courses. Probably the most common one that you will hear about is like the Korean 3-shot. A Korean style course, you would go down a straight line. You have speed penalties and speed bonuses. So you are usually allowed, between 12 and 14 second mark to go from point A to point B. Most horses have to go at a pretty steady lope, if not a gallop, to get to the end of it without going over their time. So it forces you to be able to handle that kind of speed. Usually there are targets set up on one side. Now, based on if you're a left or right-handed shooter, you can go down either way. Usually, if there are 3 targets, you'll start with your arrow knocked and ready, and then usually as you come around the bend, you track the target, which means that you start following it with your eyes and then raising it, while still guiding your horse with your legs and balancing your body so that you don't go off. You have to have a full draw in order to not shake. So you have to hold yourself in like a semi-post position and be able to completely draw back. And then as soon as you let go, you have to start tracking the next target and reload, and then shoot. And then as soon as you shoot, you reach down to get the next one. You can have, depending on which course you have, there are rules about whether or not you can hold the arrows in your hand as your bow, or you have to draw them from a quiver. Sometimes there are rules, sometimes there are not. It does, again, depend on the course. One of my favorite events is the one that's on top of a flagpole. There's a big symbol or a target that you have to hit. It's to simulate the kind of warrior training that the cavalry would have had to shoot any guards that would be on top of a tower of a walled city.
Thank you, Heather, for sharing your amazing story, and look forward to hearing more about you and your horse's adventures.